you know, when someone is always talking about someone else's character, uh, it's usually because they themselves have some character flaws. That's usually the case. Unless it's a sermon, unless it's a pastor on a Sunday morning delivering a sermon and he's talking about sin and sin in our lives and all that. But he always follows up, he should if he's a true pastor called by God, with a solution, which is, of course, Jesus Christ. But when you have everyday people who are not pastors, who are not out ministering, but they're always talking about somebody else's character, it's usually because they have a character flaw. Now, I know you've heard of the Lincoln Project. The Lincoln Project is a group of non-Trumpers, never Trumpers, rhino Republicans that hate President Trump. I mean, they started off hating Trump from day one during the 2016 election. Okay, but then when it got time to start gearing up for the 2020, they formed, it was a group of never Trumpers, Conway, Kellyanne Conway's fat husband, the former governor of Ohio, and Smith, he was on MSNBC, all these guys that just hate Trump, about 4 or 5 of them, losers basically, who were jealous of Trump, basically. And so they started out hating him in 2016. Then they decided, when they geared up for the 2020 campaign, they formed what they call the Lincoln Project, trying to put some credibility, using Lincoln, as their, I guess, that makes them seem credible, Lincoln. So they called themselves the Lincoln Project, and all they did was campaign for Biden against Trump. That's what they did. Well, we find out, and the liberals loved them because they were bashing Trump. These are Republicans, and all they talked about was Trump's character. You notice nobody on the left or the right that ever talks about Trump, ever talks about his policies for 4 years. Trump was in the White House. Not one time do any of these people that hate him, that bash him, mentions his policies, because they can't. Trump was the best president this country's ever had. He worked day in and day out, barely got sleep for America. Sometimes he worked by himself because every once in a while we had a Republican Congress that would help him. But most of the stuff he did, he had to fight by himself. So, but they never bring any of that up when they, and talk about it because they can't. So we'll just talk about his character and the stuff they're thinking of that they're bringing up, I guess, or what they're thinking about. They don't never give any specifics except his tweets. But I guess they're trying to judge him on something that he did 20 years, 19 years, 15 years before he even ran for president. Because they can't bring up anything current. And when he was in the White House for 4 years, he didn't have time to do stuff that they would call, unethical or whatever. He was working too hard. He was working too hard for 4 years, working. So we find out that one of the co-founders of this Lincoln Project is a pedophile, basically. He's been soliciting and sending unwanted messages to boys for years. One of them was 14 years old when he first started sending him messages. Now, the New York Times is a liberal rag. They broke this story yesterday, I guess. And it has, it shows screenshots of the messages, personal messages. I don't know whether it was on Twitter. Some of them was down messages on Twitter, private messaging or whatever, that he was sending these boys, trying to groom them. Okay, this is the co-founder. Listen, people, this is the co-founder of this Lincoln Project that talked about Trump's character 24/7. So now the other members of the Lincoln Project are trying to distance themselves and say, we didn't even know he was doing that. We were unaware of all that. Blah, 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 whatever. And he's been doing it for years. Okay, this isn't just happening. It's 21 boys, men now, but they were boys. I know one of them was at least 14 when he started. I don't know how old the other ones were when he started, but he was a pedophile, basically, and he was trying to groom these boys. So the New York Times has had this story. They sat on it. Let me tell you what liberals do. The reason they sat on it is because these guys were helping Biden. Okay, so once Biden gets in the White House, liberals have no need for these Republicans. These were called Republican strategists. They've worked with Karl Rove. They've worked with the Bush administration. These Lincoln Project guys. John Weaver is the one. He's a co-founder. Is the one that's the pedophile that we know of. The only one that we know of so far. I put it like that because, like I say, when people are always trying to judge somebody's character, it's usually something wrong with their character. So once the liberals get finished with you, these dumb Republicans, this is why I can't stand Republicans. I'm telling you now, I just can't stand. This put the nail in the coffin for me. This past, what just happened in 2020 election. That's put the, because they've always been weak anyway. And the problem with a lot of these Republicans, they want to be liked by liberals. So they'll join in with liberals and betray their own base for liberals. Want to be so what liberals do is they use these weak Republicans. They use them for what they need, and then they kick them to the curb, or they throw them under the bus, and boom, they put this story out. See, they held the story because he was helping Biden. Now that Biden's in the White House, now it's the same liberals that are throwing you under the bus and putting this stuff out in the public. So it was a long article in the New York Times exposing this. So what gets me is, I'm happy. You know, we used to be happy when people fall, to see people fall. I am, because they're getting what they deserve. Okay? I was so tired of all of this backstabbing Trump. I don't care what liberals say about the president, about Trump. I don't expect any Democrat to be praising Trump, but I can't stand disloyalty. I tell you that. I cannot stand a disloyal person. And then, especially if you're not giving me a reason. You're just making up stuff. You won't tell me, because this is what upset me about the rhinos. I said, if President Trump is so dangerous to our party and to our country, they have a right to articulate that to the base, us. They should have done that. But they've never done that. Mitt Romney, none of them. What is it? If he's so dangerous and he needs to be gone, what is it? Be specific. They never did that. Well, that's why I knew they were lying the entire time. They were jealous. So now it's coming out. And how do we know how many of the other ones didn't do it? So they're trying to claim now the other ones are trying to run away. These people did campaign ads, televised campaign ads for Joe Biden against President Trump. These people did this. So now they're all trying to run from Weaver and say, we saw no evidence of that. We didn't know he was doing that, blah, 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 blah. So what? Doesn't matter. Because that's why you're supposed to clean up while they were so busy lying on Trump, why weren't they investigating their own founder, their own member of their own group? Why weren't they trying to check him out instead of lying on Trump every day? They didn't do it. So now it's all coming out. So I'm happy about it, because a lot of other stuff is going to come out, people. Now, I am upset because I'm thinking it's taking too long. I want stuff to hit the fan because I don't like wrongdoing. But everything is not my timing, it's God's timing. And I try to get God to tell me what you're going to do. He won't tell me. You see, I'm in this fleshly body and I'm impatient. I'm an impatient person inside of a body of flesh. And I was like, God, I always know that God's timing is perfect. His timing is always perfect, and we have to be patient. I'm just not a patient person. And I beg God to please tell me what your plan is. But he won't tell me. And he doesn't have to tell me. Because trust me, people, his timing is always good, is always on time. And it's more stuff is going to come out about these people. More stuff is going to come out. And it's not going to be able to be stopped. And that has always been my prayer to God. I said, whatever. I said, I want you to expose everything to the point that it cannot be hidden. Because it feels like sometimes that we have nobody. You know, the justice system has let us down. The courts, all the judges, everybody has let us down. The media, Fox News turned on us. Everybody seemed to turn on us. And it's like we had nobody. So it's like all the corruption just gets hidden. Some of the stuff, the really bad stuff, the people that's doing all these things. It seems like it's never going to come out, Lord, and everybody's going to get away with everything, and I'm just tired of it. But it's not going to be like that, because when God gets ready to reveal something, there's nothing nobody can do about it. It's going to get revealed. So I just want to come in and say that, because it just shows you when people are always trying to judge someone else's character. That's all they talk about. It's usually because they themselves are the ones that are unethical and doing things they shouldn't be doing. So let's just take heart with that. And like I say, a lot of things are going on with Joe Biden and you know, the policies. He's signed like 42 executive orders, and it's just a mess. But there's always a little light at the end of the tunnel. And to me, this little thing right here, you know, this little nugget is just, you know, a start. Something, you know, to look forward to, and hopefully see more stuff come out, because we want justice. We want justice. We're taxpayers. We're law-abiding citizens, and we just want justice for the wrong that's been done to us and to this country. Have a blessed day.